Let's hear a little bit more about the job gauges.
All right. Do we want to bring up pictures of them?
Because we have pictures prepared.
Do we need to? I mean,
everyone's seen them who's seen them.
All right, fair. They're just fucking gauges, man. They're just all you're doing is taking a TP bar and putting some fucking
a few
extra...
of them are unique enough, though. Like
maybe.
Ninjas and astrologians are much easier to manage what you're doing.
Are they?
All right. So, the new HUD graphic displays, basically they're like, there's too much focus on the buff, debuff timers and the little bars. So in some cases, they're basically giving you the option, because I don't think any of these, from what I've been told, that you have to have it up.
I don't know about the ninja one, because you get this new gauge that gets filled up when you auto attack or when you weapon skill or something. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that's going to be represented in the game without it. So,
all right. So but as we've said before, they're all specialized for each job's unique action. So Monk UI has it for their chakra, which seems like it's based on like a 5-charge sort of system.
But there are many different ways to get that now.
Right. Yeah, you can do it during battle now instead of just outside of battle.
Well, you could always do it during battle, but you sacrifice your GCD to do it.
And now, isn't it that like as people doing stuff around you within your aura, they help you build chakra?
I mean, the biggest issue with that was that Monk never had any party utility. It basically only helped itself, and so people were like, "Well, why bring a monk then?" So the whole purpose of it now is that monks will buff the party, and while that party buff is going out, the party buffs the monk by adding chakra stacks.
I mean,
it now has raid utility.
Yeah, that's a positive, obviously a positive change to Monk. But like we mentioned in Ninja's case. You also just have a giant pinwheel that now has your Huton buff on it. So if you didn't pay attention to the tiny little square icon on top of your HP bar, well, now you got a huge-ass pinwheel type deal.
I mean, if you don't need it, you don't need it. But if you're a new player and you have a difficult time keeping it up, then yeah, it's helpful.
Even once in a while, as a veteran player, your mind wanders somewhere else, and you're like, "Oh shit, I have a rabbit now on my head."
No, that again, it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing. It's and again, if this was an expansion on like if you hit level 61 and it unlocked your job gauge, right? Like I think that this would feel much more like a natural progression of the job as opposed to going back and shoehorning an element of the job in, because we're going to have to deal with this at, various stages of these job gauges at lower levels as well.
It could only work that way if the job only changed and lost all that abilities at 61, which they're not doing. They're completely retooling the battle system. So in that case, it's going to be there from the beginning inherently.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is this feels like I know, and I understand that, Nika, but what it feels like is that they could have just expanded the battle system for how little they changed it.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that they said these UIs are supposed to help is that they want to increase visibility regarding stances. If you have any type of stance, you will know.
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. Like more stuff that's represented as like character animation. That I'm fine with.
Yeah, and like they were saying too, it was so hard to manage all your buffs and debuffs at the same time. Like Monk has so many icons for different stances and things that like they all look the same up there. They're just colors, and you're like, well, what the fuck is which thing? So anything that increases the visibility and decreases the need to manage your little tiny icons, I'm all for that.
No, and again, I agree with that, and it's a change that I think has been needed in the game for a while because we have been staring at small status buffs and debuffs for way too long, and I like being able to visually break that up and make me focus on different areas of the screen. I like that from an abstracted point of view, and it could be in execution. This could be really fun. I don't know.
I agree with that.
It's hard to say. Just knowing what we know of the existing system, I just think that there are a lot of concerns here, and with good reason.
Yeah. One of the things they're also hoping this does is to alleviate the extreme disparity between DPS.
There it is again. Why?
Well, actually, I think
let bad DPS just be bad. God.
I mean, that is fair, but yeah, I think the idea that there are certain people who maybe, can't keep up with the fact that, there's so many icons down there in the bar, I lose track of them or whatever, giving them a giant pinwheel should help them be better.
Dude, this is like the same driving philosophy that you get, and the end product, is a Star Fox game that plays itself, that you need no input on the controller, and the whole thing will just go through the game, and it'll be done, and you can just watch it passively. Like, it seems like that philosophy is tied in here with, like, you don't even have to lift a finger, and we're going to close the gap between a bad player and a good player. And I don't think that that's Square Enix's responsibility.
No, it's not. You're right. But at the same time, like, I think that just happens to be one of the things that will happen as well, because like you said, having players focus on different parts of the screens or making the UI more unique per job is a good thing. Like, the fact that we're just sitting here looking at a bar with all these tiny little icons with numbers above them, that's A, uncreative, and B, pretty boring, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of think so.
Yeah, so
I kind of think so.
Let's talk about some individual gauge. The Astro now, the one will actually display their cards, which, I mean, I've never played Astrology before, but again, I assume that your buffs were probably just little tiny icons.
It's a lot, and it's really easy to lose track of which ones you're saving for later and which ones you're using as the whole, like the one that's turning it into an AoE. It's easy to lose track of that.
Yeah, I mean, that probably makes the job as an astrologian a lot more interesting as well. Dark has a black blood gauge.
It's going to be something new. I mean, it's exciting.
Did you actually see it? Did you actually fucking see the? It's again, it's a gauge. It's a gauge that has a sword around it. Cool, whatever.
Yeah, but what are you going to get from powering it up? Like,
who fucking knows? Yeah, no one knows.
Yeah, so we can't sit here and say, "Oh, Dark Knight's got no changes." We don't fucking know.
That's not the problem, Nika. I think the problem with Dark Knight, like, look, the Astrologian being able to see their cards, that's interesting, that fits with the job, and that's something they probably needed. Just giving the gauge to Dark Knight seems like a concession. Like, well, we have to give the Dark Knight something. Let's give him a gauge.
All the tanks have gauges now.
Almost all the jobs have some form of. That's all it is that it's just a gauge with different fucking animations on it.
That's just lazy in that case. Warrior has two separate stances, up to 100%. Their wrath is gone. White Mage healing lilies. Nika, you were starting to rave about those earlier. Did you or Juxta want to talk about the lilies?
I don't understand. Like, I mean, if these are some kind of like an equal to like ether flow for White Mages, and you can use certain abilities that use lilies, they didn't tell us that much. Like, everyone's sitting here, oh, did we watch the same video? Dark Knight clearly gets. Like, yeah, but like all it showed us was the animations. They didn't give us the name of the moves. Like, some of you are great at telling which move is which by looking at animation. I can stare at it all day and not tell you what moves are going on. Like, and I use them every fucking day. So like, until we actually get to see what moves now train into what and which ones specifically use the gauge, there's not much we can 100% conclude behind all of this. But they're like, yes, we can. No, we can't.
All they do is act as a gate for that you have to fill. You've got to fill this meter, you've got to fill this bar before you can access these abilities. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah, you can use the lilies to reduce cast times, or you can use them to fuel other skills.
Or like, I think some of them are getting special abilities though that once it fills you can only use. Like, I know Samurai doesn't get its big crazy attack until it fills the bar.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's it. Like, that's we just.
I don't know. We don't know if that's it.
Fill the bar, do the thing, and fill the bar again. Like,
we already do that with limit breaks.
Samurai gets like fill the bar.
But there was some jobs that would deplete, like there were certain abilities. Oh gosh, which job was it? Well, it would deplete the bar just a little bit if you used an ability and then charge it back up. Whereas like you'd have to then make a decision: do I let the bar charge all the way up, or do I use my other abilities that take some away from the bar? But that in its own gives a little more diversity. To the
I think the difference here may be that certain actions will have different potencies on how they fill your bar and how quickly you can refill it, because really all this feels like, at least for given what we know, is a personal limit break. Is that every job now gets a personal limit break. You get a big hit in there, and that's really it. And if that's the case, like, what?
That's lame.
Okay, well, no, but that's the thing. Like, it could change like how much that gauge fills up. Could change based on which move you do.
Yeah.
Which could change rotation, which could increase complexity, which is a good thing.
Yes, that sounds cool.
We don't know how it works yet, so let's not go crazy with the gauges quite yet. I mean, this is fine, but can we just all agree that Samurai has retarded mudras?
Yeah.
Like, they can't handle real mudras where you can't use weapon skills between them.
What's a mudra? I like swords.
I like swords. Oh, I should use my mudra. No, I hit weapon skill.
Anyway.
Oh, please. Samurai's going to come out and you're going to take all that back. You're like, okay, it's actually when we're
No.
Oh, Nika. There is no.
I guarantee you.
Okay, Titus, calm down over there.
There is no possible way that when Samurai comes out that you are going to get a concession from any one of us.
But De Niro, Sam has Kenki and Sengage. The Sen monitors the Sengetsu cast stances you have active. Kenki fuels your other skills.
Fuck that shit. Did you see the way it runs? Ew, oh my god. Cool. Let's be a little bit more anime. If they could have animated the Scooby-Doo legs underneath that samurai, they would have. And you know it. It was embarrassing. It was Just make your fucking character move like every other character and make it like god damn, that was all of my anti-weebiness wanted to rise out of me and vomit. Ugh.
Lol. Scholar has a fairy gauge, whatever that means.
Yeah, no fucking clue.
Dragoon has 2 new gauges, one for Blood of the Dragon that can be consumed to charge their gauge in some way.
Gauge.
And then they have Eye of the Dragon, which is just some new Dragoon element. See, like this, for Bard, song duration gauge. Like that was their like big Bard thing.
But they're also getting their songs and stuff are changing, and it also seems like there's no more casting times. We don't really know.
No casting times confirmed.
That's good.
No more arrow mage, no more gun mage. So yay for those guys.
Yeah. The ninja we mentioned, Huton timer. Each pinwheel is 10 seconds. They have the ninja scroll gauge for Ninki, which is the new actions. Red mage looks interesting. They have to keep a balance between the white and dark magic that they use.
Yeah, that does actually. Again,
this is like. I think super hyped for this.
I really wish that Escalia was here to talk about this.
I know. I like without our resident red mage expert, I'm not sure.
Okay, so the red mages are really cool. So
hashtag not my red mage.
They have to cast like a quick spell that'll increase either white or black magic, and then afterwards they get chain spell, which makes their next cast instant. So I believe the quick spell increases your gauge by 9 mana, and then the big spell increases it by 11 mana, and then like they have this other spell which is like a really, really big spell which increases by 21 mana, and you have to manage to keep them all both relatively equal, and it looks really hard and really confusing. I'm actually really excited for this.
Interesting. I kind of liked the Bard song duration gauge. Like from the minute I saw it, I was like, all of that is super clear. I understand everything that's going on here. You have the amount of songs that you can have up, like you can beneath them, right? And it just counts down what your duration is going to be. Put it up.
And it also seemed like some were like they're actual targetable songs now rather than all full party.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think but like that's what I'm saying. That's my point, Juxta, is that all of these things seem like very simple mechanics that they're working into. Into these job gauges, right? So the job gauge for Bard really does just look like a duration timer, right? Like it's just a countdown timer, but it's a very cleverly done and well, a good addition because I think Bard needed that, right? Like I think that it was something that was necessary. So
they have like little like things that fill up on the underneath the Bard gauge too. I don't know what that is. So that might be neat.
To me, I just think like each time you note that one of those has fallen off, to go to circle back in your rotation or to cycle through the next song. That's what I think.
Maybe.
Right? Because if it
works the same way, there was actually an add-on that I used to use in WoW and Shadow Priest for dots where, it put up the durations, and as it got down to the end, it would turn red. You would know you better recast that dot before it runs out. Yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, really, some of these do just seem like window or add-ons. You know what I mean?
That's my thing. Well, I do think all of these are necessary and serve their purpose. When you look at something like Red Mage, which seems like it helps a really complex rotation, and then you look at something like song durations or Huton duration, and it just seems like some people are getting really cool, interesting things that help them actually perform this rotation, and other ones are just like, hey, stupid, don't forget your songs.
Or they're having some of their best abilities walled beyond this kind of arbitrary gauge that you have to fill.
It's probably Red Mage was based around having this UI element on the screen, and then other like Bard or Samurai, they're like, oh, we should do something for them.
I don't know. Like it kind of seems like that, but I have a feeling that these are all going to matter way more than it seems at this point.
I mean, yes,
probably. Like they're trying to change every job and make it feel like the battle system has changed. Just giving a Bard a timer, like, come on now. Like it's going to mean something else.
Dude, they can give Bard absolutely fucking nothing, and just not having cast time, so we'll make it.
The last few here, Machinist has a heat gauge. When they use their gauze barrel, it pumps up the heat. Black Mage
you get a ton of little drone guys you can use.
Yeah, says it indicates element and your current stacks. Summoner. We'll go into details later.
Yeah,
so cool though.
We'll talk about it in a little bit.